This is The Baseline, discussing the hot button topics of the NBA.
Welcome, everybody. You're tuned to The Baseline. Kyle Warren Shaw discussing the hot button topics of the NBA. And it has finally arrived. All-Star Weekend. Time for us to get live. The atmosphere is electric. People are amped up. I got people talking about it on Instagram, on Twitter, and everybody's saying, hey, the Baseline boys gonna show face. You damn Skippy, we're gonna show face. We're gonna show up and show out in your city, no doubt. Let me go ahead and roll out the red carpet to my right-hand man, 50 grand, www.shawsports.net, Big Kahuna PNC. My brother from another mother, ready to do it again. My man Warren Shaw. Yo, Warren, word is PJ Tucker dropped 30 grand on a pair of limited edition Nikes. How much do you think I'm going to be dropping when we roll up in Charlotte for NBA All-Star Weekend?
I don't think we got 30 grand collectively between the two of us. So I don't know, man. I give you a cool maybe 150 on something that's fresh and dope, but you're going to have the opportunity to see a lot of amazing things, especially from Nike and Team Jordan or Jordan Brand, who are almost kind of headlining things out there with Charlotte being under Jordan's guise, if you will. But before we get into all that, salute to all the fans, listeners, NBA Baseline. As Cal alluded to, man, this is our NBA All-Star Weekend preview, talking about all the great things that we're going to be doing and seeing out there at All-Star Weekend in Charlotte. Some of the great activations from the amazing brands that sponsor and work with the NBA, man. I cannot wait to tell the folks what we're going to be jumping into, homie.
Definitely, man. So let's not get this twisted. You know, a lot of people think that, most NBA shows leading up to NBA All-Star Weekend is strictly about highlighting and previewing, NBA All-Star Night. Man, we ain't getting into all of that. Everybody knows who's going to be out there. Everybody knows who's going to be playing, who's going to be performing, who's going to be shooting the basketball, who's going to be part of the shooting skills challenge, and all that other craziness. We talking about what's the Baseline boys going to be doing All-Star Weekend, and we will break it down. We are putting our itinerary together, so we're hopefully going to say we expect to see you out there if you're going to be in the Charlotte area. But more importantly, it's really about highlighting a lot of the activity and the flair and the excitement that goes on at NBA All-Star Weekend. This is all because of the players. It's all because of the league, and it's all because of the brands who have come together on one weekend to really highlight and profile the culture of basketball in its beautiful form. So we're going to definitely get into that. And then, yes, we will, in our topic of the drop, give you a little bit of our preview take about what may happen or what's going to go down for NBA All-Star Night and the NBA All-Star Game. So we got a lot to go over. We definitely appreciate you and yours for tuning in with us here on the Baseline NBA podcast. Be sure to get at my man Shaw at Shaw Sports NBA or get at me at GameFace Lee. The show's Twitter handle at NBA Baseline. You know where to find us. You know how to get down with us. We always ask you to download any of the major platforms. Allow us to be your go-to resource, getting you psyched up and ready for what may take place this upcoming weekend. But more importantly, we want to be your eyes and ears for everything that goes on in the association. You know how we do. You know how we roll. Let's get it started with the breakdown.
Time to break it down.
To the bone gristle.
Time now for the breakdown. Kyle Warren Shaw of the Baseline NBA podcast. And our topic for the breakdown is how the Baseline NBA podcast gets to break it down. NBA All-Star Weekend style. Look, one of the things that is so amazing about the NBA, unique in its form, is that it's one of the rare sports that really and truly in so many ways, I want to say they were the architects, Shaw. NBA All-Star Weekend are the architects in profiling and highlighting and praising their players for going out and putting together, 82 regular season games of beautiful play in their sport. It's a way to allow the fans to basically be one-on-one with some of their favorite players and stars. Major League Baseball took quite some time before they figured out a formula that really highlights their players. The NFL waits until the end of the year. NHL hockey, while it doesn't have as large a fan base, has now started, really catering to what the NBA does in order to highlight and profile their players through the course of a season, congratulating them for all of the achievements and the things that they're doing, not just for themselves individually, but also for their teams respectively. And the NBA has been pretty consistent. Now, over the years, we've seen them change it up. They've changed up their flair, but a lot of the work that they're doing, Shaw, is on the outside of that arena. It's not so much about the guys going out there and playing a game of basketball on one night, which is a Sunday night. It's all about the world that the NBA creates. And now that these new companies are forming all of these crazy partnerships, not just with the NBA, but also with the players themselves, they are becoming ambassadors that is influencing people to be a part of this culture. And it's not just something that happens on a day. It has to happen through the course of a weekend. It's kind of like a carnival within a carnival because there's so much going on in just a 4 day span.
Riley, I feel like we are, NBA All Star Weekend veterans in a lot of ways of kind of the masters of the unknown when it comes to how you can have a great time, how you can interact as a fan, as a media type at All Star Weekend without even stepping foot, at one of the major NBA sponsored sanctioned events, if you will, the dunk contest, the celebrity game, Rising Stars, the All Star game itself. As you alluded to, the brands themselves are just so innately embedded in what the NBA does on a regular basis, and they use All Star Weekend as a platform to showcase that partnership to, in essence, bring in fans rather, and potentially even consumers to their own respective brands through the NBA itself. And that's why it's such an amazing thing that they do. All Star Weekend is a media monster, and for sure, without a doubt the lore of what's happening on the court is not nearly as big and as important as kind of what's happening off of it around, the 3 or 4 days that All-Star Weekend takes place in whatever city. And I'll say this, having again being a veteran of All-Star Weekends, each city presents its own challenges. Each city presents its own level of even activations. Like I can say point blank, like Adidas is not doing nearly as much in Charlotte as it did in LA last year. That doesn't mean they're not doing great things, but a lot of it is again, what does the city allow for that brand to do from an activation standpoint? So I think it's going to be a great time. I'm very excited about everything that's happening and everybody that is stepping up their game to be a part of this. And I really do feel like, in some ways, as we said in the outset, some companies, some brands might be taking a step back simply because it is in Charlotte, with Michael Jordan as the owner of the Charlotte Hornets, so Jordan Brand and Nike, they are kind of expected to take center stage when it comes to brand activation.
Nobody loves a Jordan takeover. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just like one of those. It's like a Game of Thrones episode. Like, who's ready to take the North, right? So, um, uh, what I find amazing, Shaw, is the uniqueness of the brands, and I think you alluded to that point. So, you know, when we first did our first NBA All Star Weekend, when we covered it, we did it as an affiliation um, to Sony's, Sony Entertainment, which back at that time frame, it was all about Sony, the PlayStation 4, I'm sorry, PlayStation, and the movement behind players and their desire to be gamers, right? Like everybody was still, kind of soaked in the idea that basketball players can only just be basketball players. They would never imagine an Andre Iguodala or a Dikembe Mutombo or these guys that are like almost 365, eat, sleep, breathe basketball, that actually find some time to go out there and play NBA 2K or go out there and play NBA Live or go out there and play MLB The Show or whatever, game is Halo for whatever is on, in their mind at that particular time frame. And now we have elevated ourselves to a point where even the brands themselves are catering a lot more to the things that athletes really are drawn to. And they figure out a way to market it in a manner where for the everyday person, they themselves can be their Iguodala. They themselves could be their Trey Young. They don't have to go out there and shoot the ball like these guys or dunk the ball like these guys, but they market things in a way that makes them find a center point that they can ideally identify themselves with. And even if that common element is something in Adidas wear, is something in Tissot wear, watches. it's a common element, and to know that there's somebody out there who's in an elevated status of wealth than them, but still believes that they have a similar style, a similar taste. To have that for at least a weekend, I think is very inviting, and it's an awesome experience for people to really indulge in.
Now you're 100% correct. It's really it's about that's why they call it brand activation. And it's for people to activate, to motivate, to participate, and recognize relationships that are created. And it's so for the players as well too. Yeah, they got to fulfill their their sponsorship agreements. You know what I mean? Whatever contract their agent may have negotiated them with said brand. But they do enjoy a lot of that stuff as well too. And All Star Weekend is a time, especially with the NBA moving the trade deadline before it, where that kind of pressure is taking out of All Star Weekend. I think it was a smart move by the NBA because a lot of questions when you're talking to players is like, oh, the trade deadline's coming up, da 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 da. And that brings drama to what is supposed to be a fun situation, even for them. They're supposed to be celebrating their success as players,
Totally
or
agree
even if
with
they
you.
didn't get selected to the game. Yeah, even if they didn't get selected for the game itself, they're there just kind of blow off steam and they're taking in the sights, especially rookies and sophomores and things of that nature. So they don't want to be saddled with the drama of, oh my God, it could be traded next week and blah 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 blah. This is about
And
just
and
kind of
we
have
and
some
we
fun
had
for the
been we had been privy to a lot of that drama, Shaw. You remember that? You remember the year, um, NBA All Star Weekend when the trade speculations were circling about Carmelo Anthony,
Carmelo.
and
Yes, that
he
was
was,
brutal.
and I mean, it really sucked because
Brutal.
you can clearly tell that the energy was just taken out of the arena during All Star practice when we came up there, and it's hard because Carmelo can't say, "Oh, I know he's not gonna ask that question. I know that dude's not gonna ask that question." Like we genuinely want to ask him questions about NBA All-Star Weekend. We genuinely want to ask him questions about his personal game, not about a lot of the personal strife that's happening because of the trade speculations. But of course, the first 10 questions that get thrown in his face is about the trade rumors that were taking place for him, at that time frame. And it basically took Kevin Garnett to have to step in there and regulate. You know what I'm saying? That whole scenario, that whole situation. And I just truly, genuinely felt bad for him. And I think that that started a trend in our awareness about, how these players, and I'm sure the NBA, Adam Silver had also recognized that he certainly doesn't want players already frustrated that they have to commit themselves to playing a game that they really don't want to take seriously, that now that has to be compounded with the idea that there's all of these trade speculations because the deadline is 2-3 days after the NBA All-Star Weekend. Those guys ain't focused for the with the fans. They're not focused with being in the element and in the environment because they don't know. Today they're wearing a Phoenix Suns jersey. Tomorrow they could be wearing a Toronto Raptors jersey. And I can get why they had to make sure that they parsed that. So I just thought it was an excellent idea that they bumped up the trade deadline time, because once that's all said and done, once that smoke clears, players should be getting on with the business of getting on with the fans.
Yeah, 100%. And like I said, this is what we're here to kind of delve into and these activations and some of the things that we will be seeing out there. And one of the main ones, and let's talk about kind of a newbie, quote unquote, into the space, or maybe it's a reintroduction, allow me to reintroduce myself type of situation. I think is very apropos as well, too, as Jay-Z is affiliated with said brand, and that's Puma. Puma, came back onto the scene last year, and now they're going to be having 3 days of activations, with their Puma Palace. Very excited to see what that's going to be looking like. They're going to have a slam dunk contest, with some local players and things of that nature, and they'll have again activations throughout the weekend. They'll have some of their own players, DeAndre Ayton, Marvin Bagley. Those guys will be showing up as well too, and they'll be displaying their new Uproar sneakers. So if you're not following Puma basketball on Instagram, you should be. And you can get a look for what the new Uproar looks like. I already see kind of all these little synergies in place because Lil Wayne has his song came out. It's kind of affiliated as well too. So I can't imagine that we won't be hearing that song throughout the Puma Palace, kind of permeating throughout the entire weekend.
I gotta tell you, man, I love it, man. I grew up in an era where Puma was, one of those major, underground shoes, right? Um, I mean, more so than anything, if you were Jamaican, right? Like we didn't have access to the Nike like that, right? our Pumas were like, you know what I'm saying, was basically Jamaican Nike. you know, I think it's phenomenal how Puma has rebranded itself and has put itself back into the conversation where they are a part of, a massive sports entity like the NBA. Now, that doesn't mean that Puma, was hibernating and was Rip Van Winkling through the whole, through the whole sports genre. They had elevated themselves in other areas in soccer, in track and field, this, that, and the third. They've always been true to that aspect of things. But I really like how they reinvented themselves in order to put themselves in this position. And I really encourage people, when you have an opportunity, go to www.puma.com and really start checking out their, not just the apparel, not just the sneakers, but also the mindset and the way that they're approaching how they are pushing out, the apparel wear for their NBA, for their NBA concept, the conceptualization that they've got going on for the NBA. I'm truly excited about seeing these guys coming out there and doing their thing. And listen, Sean, we're not out here to try and judge and say which one's going to be the better one, but I think that Puma's activation will be one of the more surprising activations. They may not have all of the star-studded fanfare that we're expecting to see from Nike and from Adidas and maybe from if Reebok is going to be out there or whomever out there that's major wear label and stuff like that. But I am expecting Puma to really put on a good exhibition and really highlight their re establishing their presence back into the NBA fold.
Yeah, 100%. They're gonna have uproar clothing and apparel. They're gonna have the hoop skills challenge, so
They got
you
a
might
baby
even
dunk
get a chance.
contest, right?
Yeah,
So
man, you might get a chance to take on Marvin Bagley or DeAndre Ayton, like kind of in a hoop skills challenge on that Saturday, and then they're closing the All Star Weekend with a one of those. You got to party. It's All Star Weekend, bro. So they're gonna have a little Nipsey Hustle running out there at the uproar closing party, and they got to be excited about the fact that they have two of their guys in J. Cole and Meek Mill performing at the All Star game itself as well too. So Puma with a big stamp of approval. I mean, Rock Nation in the building, all of that for All Star Weekend in Charlotte.
most definitely. You're tuned to the Baseline. Callie Warren Shaw discussing the hot button topics of the NBA as we are getting into our itinerary, the Baseline Boys itinerary for NBA All Star Weekend. And we're discussing the brand activations that are expected to make some big noise for this upcoming weekend. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Tissot, Shaw. Tissot has been really one of the more phenomenal watchmaking companies for quite some time. People often think Citizen and they think Roger Federer. When I think Tissot, there's so many different there's so many different brand athletes that have appeared on the Tissot watches. It's phenomenal because I don't normally see Tissot, and at least for the years that I remember, brand activations really being prevalent over the last 5 years. Tissot, I don't think was really ever there, right? But they are now going to be making their presence felt. They're expecting to have Bradley Beal as part of their brand activation. Kemba Walker is also expected to be there. I'm really excited to see this because, one of the things about fashion in the NBA normally is the apparel, right? We see that with Russell Westbrook and with Victor Oladipo. But a man rocking a good watch game like my boy Shaw likes to be on, you can never go wrong. And I think Tissot now, making their presence felt. I think they recognize that as well too, and I think they're going to feature themselves quite lovely this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna put some respect on their name. I like to call them Tissot. You know what I mean? I think it's
Oh, you want to
it's a
add
little
another 30?
fancy.
You want to add another 30 grand on that? I was trying to keep it
Yeah,
relative
we
within
could.
my you know what I'm saying, my
Yeah, but
economic
we're gonna
range.
like that. We're gonna put a PJ Tucker on it. Put another 30 grand on that right there with the Tissot brand activation. Yeah, they're also gonna have Trey Young and Klay Thompson. And if y'all know me, and obviously we don't talk about kind of our personalized all that much on the NBA Baseline podcast, but I am a watch dude. Like I am all about the watches. Sneakers are fresh and all
I am
that. And I
renaming.
have them.
I am renaming you the Watchman. If we
Oh, sir.
start getting our thing on hashtag the Watchman. Watch for it this weekend. The Baseline Boys
Woo.
come showing out over at the lounge. The Watchman returns.
So I think I'm going to be lusting a little bit after what Tissot has to offer us. They're not. I ain't gonna be able to afford none of those things, but nonetheless, it's nice to dream. And I think they'll allow you to try on some watches and kind of walk the runway a little bit. They got some great activations taking place there. They got some artists coming into their space. All that's going to be at the epicenter. So make sure you're checking that out. If you are checking and getting a chance to go to Charlotte, they have a buzzer beater game with a Tissot shot clock as well too. So fans are going to be able to do that through a video experience. Again, everything that they're doing, the man Troy Young is going to be very busy because he's part of what Tissot's got going on. He's also going to be part of what Express has going on as well too. So we'll be checking out what this very very fancy watch company is going to be doing over there at Epicenter, like I said, and that's going to be Thursday through Sunday. Make sure you check it out if you're out there, man, because I think it's going to be live. And as you alluded to, at least for us, we haven't had a chance to interact with this brand before, so I'm very excited to kind of get my hands on some of their goods and see what it looks like, so I can maybe tell wifey, hey man, for next Valentine's Day.
Nudging for the anniversary gift.
Oh, my birthday in June, you know what I mean? I'm like, hey, I saw this Tissot watch, it was kind of fresh, and see what she can put on it, man. So that's what's up.
Definitely. All right. So let's go ahead and look. I think you had talked about it a little bit earlier before, Shaw. I think a lot of expectations are going to be squarely focused on what Adidas is planning to do. It's phenomenal. Like any other particular city where we would have NBA All-Star Weekend, Nike would have clout, but Nike is so regular, right? Like in other words, like there's such a household name brand that you kind of get this inclination like they just gonna do what they do. So we expect nothing less than big, bold, like they come over and they take over. That's what they do, right? That's just Nike. But what I kind of love about this whole entity is when the little dog comes in the big dog's house and starts up a ruckus. And so I think a lot of people are going to be focusing their attention on it because over the last couple of years, Shaw, especially with the emergence of James Harden, Adidas is really starting to elevate itself. They want to be in that conversation. I don't know if the intent is they're saying, hey, we want to, overthrow the king in Nike. I think that's a tall task. But little things like this, like what you do during NBA All-Star Weekend, like Adidas having their hospitality suite during All-Star Weekend, I think can be the start of people starting to kind of nudge a little bit in their direction about how they're changing up the game, on how they're trying to, sway the general populace that already gravitates to loving the Nike brand. Nobody says you can't love just one brand, but I like the idea that Adidas is coming in and they're going to go for it as well too. And I'm expecting big things from these guys, especially through this weekend.
Well, again, as being seen what they've done over the years, I've seen it where it was kind of just starting out as they re-entered the NBA space to when they were again they got the jersey deal, they signed John Wall and Dwight Howard and Damian Lillard and all those guys and were just kind of killing it. And they were right there, you know what I mean? And in some ways, some people would say even doing more than what Nike was doing, as I think Nike struggled a little while, I think, in the NBA space. So Adidas is really, they've taken the reins. And like I said, what they did last year in LA it's by far and away, I said it, I'll say it again. It's the best activation I've ever seen at an All-Star weekend. Like Adidas threw down. It was just dumb. I saw Kanye West at their activation and Snoop Dogg and Fat Joe, and it was just nonstop. So this year said they're taking
But Shaw, it says
bit.
something. It says something to how they're approaching things because we're not saying, oh, they're running out there and they're begging and pleading for the Kanye Wests and the Fat Joes. No, they want to come out there and they want to see what's going on. In other words, they're making themselves the phenomenon of that activation, and that to me is, I think, key killer because most people kind of take for granted that if you are a big name brand, that means you should automatically have major name people showing up. And that's just not necessarily the case. Sometimes they do things so, so off the grid that it takes away in essence of making people feel like they're a part of that entity as well too. So Adidas, to your point, Shaw, has been doing an excellent job of keeping things inclusive for the fans, but more importantly, the engagement of the higher end, the athletes and the artists coming out there to show the love and support. They're willing to do that, and I think that continues to bolster the energy that people want to see from this activation.
For sure. And again, even last year, part of that whole situation. They even had Charles Gambino, who doesn't really perform often. So they had him featured in the concert. Like you could have just spent your entire weekend at Adidas's activation, from Friday to Sunday and not missed a beat and still would have had an amazing time. So this year, like I said, they scaled back just a little bit, primarily for media. But they'll have athletes and entertainers passing through their space, at a undisclosed hotel location. Can't give that out just yet to the folks, but nevertheless, they're allowing us to come by, grab a drink. They always have nice food and things of that nature. Are going to have an on-site barber in case we didn't get our lineup before we got to All Star Weekend. And I think it's just always a great time. The folks over at Adidas are very, very, very grounded, and they speak highly about the NBA. They're serious about their brand, so I'm excited to go through their space and just interact with some of those guys and ladies because again, they are a quality and class act when it comes to Adidas.
All right, now look, we've been kind of talking about it, Shaw. I think you had mentioned that these guys were the first ones to really kind of set things in motion about what our itinerary is going to be for NBA All Star Weekend.
Oh, yes, sir.
Express is in the building, and listen, I don't know about y'all, man, but I'm a Kenneth Cole kind of guy, and I'm an Express kind of guy. And the fact that Express is
You
actually
like your
making
you
their
like your you like
hey,
your 1M shirts.
hey,
And
listen, man. Sometimes I gotta be on my grown man stuff. Listen, listen.
I hear you.
I have elevated myself from what is it that you used to say when I'd be rolling out to come out and play. I'd be rocking the Muscle Gansey stuff.
The
I
muscle
don't
Gansey.
I don't mess around with that kind of stuff too more. Now that's only when I go to the gym and I work out. But I gotta tell you, man, I love Express. They are the modern age man,
Sure.
fashion trend, and the fact that they have finally, brought on board guys like Victor Oladipo, John Collins, Trey Young. They are, and those type of guys, their build really fits the narrative of how Express dresses for the young male. Now, there was a time before that they had Steph Curry on there, right? And
Yeah.
so I just really like the direction that Express is going. I think if you are a young man and you are, trying to get an idea of where your fashion style fits in this modern day age, you definitely want to go and check out Express. But the fact that they are going to actually be out there for NBA All Star Weekend, man, I am totally amped about this. I think that they're going to put on a great activation, and they have great players to help highlight their upcoming collection, which I believe is gonna. It has to be their spring summer collections that's going to be taking place. So I'm really excited to see what these guys are going to do this weekend.
Yes, sure. Make sure you catch Express at the Epicenter as well too. Their activation will be popping the entire time, and I think it's just a smart time for them to get into this space. We all know how the NBA has exploded from a cultural standpoint and from a fashion standpoint over the last 3 to 5 years. NBA fashion is a big deal. It's a big deal amongst the players themselves. And Express, feels like they've kind of been biding their time, and they're like, all right, pounce now. Now is the time, and they jump right in and they're grabbing the bull by the horn, so to speak, and really, really making their activation lively and something that resonates and speaks to today's NBA fan, especially with the way fashion is taken over. So they'll have a lot of great stuff for people to, products that people can try, product customization, meet and greets, so, as kind of the standard thing that's going to be taking place throughout the weekend. But make sure you check out their pop up shop again at the Epicenter. Taking place throughout the entire weekend. We definitely go and be there and checking it out. And we definitely salute to the Express because they were one of the first to contact the Baseline Boys and make sure that we're going to be rocking with them during All Star Weekend.
Almost definitely. So, like, listen, man, what's a NBA weekend without, keeping it real, keeping it live? Budweiser is one of the major brands that is going to be making their mark during NBA All-Star weekend. I don't drink beer. But if you're gonna give me some serious live performances, dudes like French Montana and company, hey man, listen. I'll throw it up. Me and Anheuser, we can get down with these dudes, man. So listen, Budweiser, they understand, they know what time it is, and they are collaborated with the NBA crossover. They're gonna be doing something major, Shaw. Listen, a lot of people are sleeping on the hype and the excitement. If they're there, don't act like you don't think that there's anything going on. There will be plenty of going on during NBA All Star Weekend.
I really am impressed. I think even with brands that you may not readily associate with the NBA, like Budweiser in some instances, coming out here and says like you said, nah, man, we here too, and here's why we're dope, and here and you're gonna have a dope time coming through our activation as well too. Like everybody else, they're gonna be at the epicenter, so that's gonna be the place to be, you know. And again, if you see the Baseline Boys holler at us, you know what I mean, we'll cheers you with the Budweiser because you know Bud is really definitely doing their thing. They got a crossover bar that's open to the public, basically 12 to 4 on Friday through Sunday. They're going to have some sneaker customization things going on as well too, and of course, again, the infamous meet and greets present and past NBA players as well too. So we're going to be doing autographs. They'll be soliciting those. So Budweiser definitely rolling out the red carpet for the Baseline Boys. We're extremely appreciative. So like you said, man, I think we're gonna have to throw up a couple IG pics with the buzz in our hand because this is a great, I think, entrance for at least for us. You know, and no disrespect to the Budweiser crew. You know, if they've been at All Star Weekend, we just haven't had a chance to interact with y'all. We're excited about this opportunity now. So, you know, thank you to that. And we're looking forward to seeing how All Star Weekend goes and, you know, French Montana and all that. You know, we're going to be up in there doing that thing.
I love it. I love it. Finally, Shaw, one of the premier, in brand activations has been for quite some time. And if not, they just know how to bug you to death about always upgrading your phones. AT&T will be live and direct out there for NBA All Star Weekend. And if they aren't trying to get me on the iPhone XLR WIZS, whatever version of the iPhone it's going to be, they will definitely be laying out the red carpet of just great interaction opportunities for NBA All-Star Weekend. And I think it's just phenomenal. Like, again, these are the common things that we have in our everyday usage, and we often take for granted how much of effect that they do have with big events like NBA All-Star Weekend. So the fact that AT&T is going to be out there doing their thing, I'm looking forward to seeing what they have to offer as well too. And so it's just going to be a great time altogether, man. I just think there's so many different entities that are going to have a huge influence. And we haven't even talked about NBA crossover, which is that that central theme where families get together, with all different types of community activities and things that are going on in affiliation and partnership with the NBA. There will definitely be brand activations out during that time as well too. Also appearances by some of your favorite NBA players. G League players are going to be out there showing love and showing out. It's just going to be a great time altogether, man.
Yeah, I think you know again you sum it up best, and you know no disrespect to anybody we didn't cover, and some of the people we will interact with. You know, again, I think we obviously talked a lot about what Nike and Jordan Brand is going to be doing. You know, shout out to the
To the
folks at
point that they got their
SiriusXM.
own map. I mean, literally,
Well, yeah.
literally, Google Maps is to put Nike, and the Nike map will show up over Charlotte. It's just, I mean, that's just how crazy Nike is going to be during this course of the weekend, right?
Yeah, they know what it is for sure. And shout out to Mountain Dew, shout out to Stance, shout out to Gatorade. You know, all those companies that do stuff, and you know, folks who we've interacted with over the years as well too. You know, like I said, we're looking forward
Oh,
to
and we're
kind of.
also, and our people's NBA labs are expected to be there, right?
Oh well, you know, I almost definitely remiss in that. You know, shout out Billy Kidd, you know, for what he's doing. He texted me personally and was like, "Listen, we're gonna have some crazy unseen stuff. You know, never seen stuff before. At the NBA center, if you will, epicenter, if you will, the crossover event. So he's like, come through. So we definitely got to go and check in on what NBA Lab has got going on. We'll be taking plenty of pictures, picking up and trying some of the products out there as well too. So again, NBA All Star Weekend is not just about hey the slam dunk contest and skills challenge, et cetera, et cetera. It's about these activations. It's about getting to network and meet people, having fun. You know, at these activations, you know, doing the skills challenge against one of your homeboys or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever. You know, your family members, beating the so shot clock, if you will. This is what it's about. So come out, have a good time, interact with these brands because they're doing it for you, the fans, listeners, and media as well too. But also, our weekend is a time for the NBA family to come together.
And listen, also, we're out there to get you some content, right? So don't don't get it twisted. We're out there, we're going to definitely have our fun, but we're certainly going to have our fun getting the exclusive content whenever and wherever we can during NBA All-Star Weekend. And so we are so excited to be out there to represent. We're going to definitely be on the prowl, hopefully talking to some of the talking to some of the athletes, talking to some of the executives for most of these brands as well too. and really covering a lot of the stuff that you may not get an opportunity to hear from, through the other major outlets that are just specifically there to cover NBA All-Star Night and the NBA All-Star Game. So definitely keep us locked here, the Baseline NBA podcast with your boy Warren Shaw and me, Cal Gameface Lee. We gonna be out there doing the thing, but certainly giving you exclusive content of everything that's happening during NBA All-Star Weekend. You're tuned to the Baseline. Cal Lee, Warren Shaw, discussing the hot button topics of the NBA. And this was the breakdown. Time now for the drop. Cal Lee, Warren Shaw of the Baseline NBA podcast. And with all the excitement that's taking place with our brand activation discussion, right? Like, I feel like we hyped it up so much, Shaw. I feel like we hyped it up so much that we might not have a reason even to be talking about, what are we supposed to be there for again for NBA All-Star Weekend? Oh, it's for the All-Stars. That's right. That's right. It's supposed to be there for the All-Stars, right? They're the reason why we coming out there, man. Not French Montana. My bad. Okay. So listen, for people who are familiar with NBA All-Star Weekend, gonna keep it straight down the line, and we are going to properly evaluate, Shaw, each and every single one of these particular matchups that are going to be taking place because we just feel it's just that important. We're heightening it to the level of like NBA playoffs time, right? So this is exactly what we're going to do.
Yeah, well, it's the reason we're out there. I mean, we can't, while we make light of the situation, we wouldn't be out there at any activations would it not be for the All-Star Weekend itself and the main events that do take place, over at the Spectrum Center. So, without further ado, I guess we can jump right into the Rising Stars, the Mountain Dew Ice Rising Stars. We're talking about brands, so we want to make sure we give everybody their proper recognition. And as this event has taken over or taken some changes over the last couple of years, I like where it's at right now. Team USA versus Team World. And I think Team World has some nice players, and it would be really great, I think, for the uninitiated to hear a guy about Rodion Kurucs, from the Brooklyn Nets, and Josh Okogie from the Minnesota Timberwolves. People who you're not really paying that much attention to, so to speak. Even Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in LA, and of course Cedi Osman in Cleveland. These are names you're like, who, what? You know what I mean? It's hard to pronounce, and some of them you're not really familiar with. But I think we'd be remiss if we didn't say, well, rookie sensation Luka Doncic going out there really headlighting Team World alongside Ben Simmons. I think they may have the edge in this one because those two guys are going to be electric. They even got our man DeAndre Ayton, the West Indian from the Bahamas, out there on Team World. So they're looking real swaggy out there, I think, for Team World. But what do you got on it?
Well, listen, I think a lot of people are going to be, glued to seeing what, kind of, past foolery happenings that's going to take place when Luka Doncic and Ben Simmons have the basketball in tow. I will say this though, the guy that I think you should look out for is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He is a phenomenal player. Los Angeles Clippers found a gem in this kid. And I think that this is going to be an awesome opportunity for him to put his talents on display on a bigger stage for people to really appreciate his gameplay. And I think he's going to get some serious opportunities to do that playing in Team World. I think that this is a solid lineup, but bruh, come on, man. I mean, you've got Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, Kyle Kuzma, who I think Kyle Kuzma might wind up being the most valuable player in this game. I want it to be Luka Doncic because me, I'm about the Don, but I really feel like Kyle Kuzma is he's got a little something in him, and I think he recognizes that this is a platform for him to really elevate and up his stock. Whether the Lakers choose to keep him or not, or whatever the case may be. I think that this is another platform for him to shine. De'Aaron Fox. I mean, look, man, this is a loaded team. And Kevin Knox, I know he's not going to get a whole lot of shine, but I really like him as a replacement to Lonzo Ball. I think that kid is going to be nice, man. I think he's going to get an opportunity to kind of shine on this stage as well, too. I think Team USA, man, has the edge over Team World. Not to say that Team World doesn't look swaggish, but Team USA got some Brodies on that court, man, and I'm serious. Like, I'm not saying that they won't care. I'm just saying they don't like to get shown up by anyone, and they got the athletes to do it.
No, they do. And I think there might be more chips on their shoulders, so to speak, with Team USA in some aspects too.
And
So
let's not forget Trey
De'Aaron
Young, man,
Fox,
who's having someone an underwhelming season so far. This could be again, he may recognize that this is an opportunity for him to step out a little bit more. He may not win Rookie of the Year, but he can certainly get a lot of nods of people appreciating him being a number one pick for the Atlanta Hawks and being the future of that franchise if he comes out and shows out in the Rising Stars Challenge.
for sure. So I again, like I said, I got D Fox going out there trying to prove something. I think Tatum will go out there to try to prove a little something, just because the Celtic season has been, a little bit up and down. My guy who I've been touting all season long, John Collins. While you pay Kuzma as a guy and as a guy who obviously can dribble and can probably get his own shot in this type of game, I feel like Collins is probably like, people are not paying me enough attention out here in Atlanta. Yeah, Trey Young is dope and everything like that too, but I'm pretty dope myself. So I think Collins is my sneaky pick, as an MVP candidate, especially if Team USA able to pull things out. But again, I think it's going to be a great, great battle. Lots of fun, lots of highlights. And obviously, like I said, Luka the Don is going to be out here trying to showcase his skills as well too, since he didn't quite make the All-Star game itself.
All right, let's go ahead and focus our attention to the Taco Bell's skills challenge. Listen, they got some. They got some. I like their mix. They got a little old. They got a little new, right? So, kind of like that whole nacho fries phenomenon going on right now. Y'all kind of like, what? Mike Conley, Nikola Vucevic. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what? So, listen, they've got quite an eclectic group of guys to represent this skills challenge.
Well, and I think that's a great point because 2016, 2017, Cat won, Karl Anthony Towns, and then 2017, Porzingis won. So it's not out of the realm of possibility for a big guy to kind of take it. But I look at Jokic and Vucevic, the two Nicolas, if you will. I feel like it's like a WWE tag team. But these two guys, they are a little bit slower of foot than even say Karl Anthony Towns is. And I think even Porzingis has got to be faster than both those guys. So when it comes to that, I think that's why they're gonna, as good as skilled as passers as they both are, especially in the case of Jokic. I just feel like they're going to be a little bit behind the 8 ball when it comes to looking up against a guy like Fox who's so fast and has an improved shot, or a guy like Trey Young as well too. Again, who's obviously a great passer and a good shooter. So those are the two guys I'm looking to kind of take it for me. No disrespect to Kuz or to Jason Tatum, and man, those guys are going to be getting a lot of work all weekend long. But I'm going to go ahead and say I think I'm going to go with Trey Young going ahead to win this thing.
I like that you're going with Trey Young. I'm torn between it being Luka Doncic and Jason Tatum. I think that the skills challenge has proven to me that it's not about how quickly you get through the obstacles, but how efficiently you get through them. And it comes down to the shot. And I've seen where certain guys get too far ahead of themselves. So guys like Kuzma, guys like Fox, I feel like they can get out ahead of themselves. They get out too fast, and then they have to slow themselves down in order to make the shot. They either overthink the shot or they overrush the shot, and that just buys time for guys like Jason Tatum, for Trey Young, and Luka Doncic, who come in and their motion is so smooth in the transition of when they're running that I feel like they can give themselves, even if they think that they're behind by maybe like a second or two, they can gather themselves and make that shot on the first try at a higher rate than I would expect maybe someone like Trey Young, what I'm speaking of between Jason Tatum and Luka Doncic. I'm going to go with Jason Tatum on this one. I don't recall a Boston Celtic ever winning this skills challenge. And I feel like this could be the time. If he can't win an NBA if he can't get to the NBA finals, at least he could be able to say, I got me a skills challenge and a free year supply of nacho fries.
All right. Well, Celtics, trying to salvage the season with the Jason Tatum win in the Taco Bell skills challenge. So if that's what it comes down to, things are really bleak in Boston right now.
I'm being philanthropic. I'm being I can't even get the word out.
Philanthropic?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how much BS we're spewing right now with that. So good luck to Tatum and his bid for a year supply of Taco Bell and bubble guts as well. But nevertheless, JT, go ahead and get it rocking.
No, those are for cheesy potatoes, not for the nacho.
Ah, all right, all
Uh,
right, all
all right, let's go ahead and move it to the. Let's move right into the 3-point contest. I'm actually looking forward to this one, Shaw. Only because I really
Oh,
want
it's
to.
always the best event.
Yeah, it's remarkable the cast of people, and it's a revolving door. Like you could be easily disappointed that Klay Thompson is not participating in this year's 3-point contest. That James Harden isn't doing the 3-point contest. I would love to just. I mean, I would never expect James Harden to make it. To the finals, but I would just love to see him just do every 3-point shot with the step back three that he does, the Euro 3-step that he does.
Hmm.
Like that would just be awesome, and he would just advance all the way to the semifinals of the finals. Just doing that, like that would just be, I would love it. It would just
Yeah.
be great. But I'm really looking forward to seeing the Curry brothers do their thing, man. I just don't think people genuinely appreciate that while Seth Curry is not on the level of his brother, he really is a solid basketball. He's come such a long way.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because I think there's going to be a lot of people with their North Carolina roots in general as well too, rooting for an all Curry final, and we'll see how things end up stacking up. But this is this is I think the most loaded field in terms of names and people that good personalities and people you like. And no disrespect again to the Taco Bell Skills Challenge, but this 3-point contest, sponsored by Mountain Dew, is looking real chunky. We got defending champion Devin Booker, the Curry brothers, as you alluded to, Danny Green, Joe Harris, Buddy Hield, Dame, Chris Middleton, Kemba, and then, old time vet Dirk Nowitzki. I think, again, people are going to be rooting the most for the Curry brothers or Dirk, to kind of be in a send off situation. If Dirk can, have a good showing, I think that's all we can hope for.
My dark horse is Buddy Hield, man. Do not sleep on Buddy Hield.
Oh, well, that's not my dark horse. That's my winner.
That's your winner. Oh, you're
I
going.
think Buddy
He is
Hield's
my.
gonna.
He is
I
my.
think,
He is my
yeah.
dark horse, man. I hate. I know that this sounds crazy. I feel like the finals might wind up going down. It might be coming down to Devin Booker and Steph Curry, but it just depends on what Steph Curry's mood's going to be like for this particular contest. But I just love what Buddy Hield is doing, man. Buddy Hield has just been on one, uh, you know, since the beginning of this
Yeah.
year. And I don't know what it is. I don't know how he's turned it around, but we have always said that once he has his shot together, the way that he displayed it when he came out of college, there would be no question that he could be one of the elite shooters in the game right now. And he is certainly one of the main reasons why the Sacramento Kings are even in playoff contention. His shooting has just been lights out, especially over the last couple of weeks. You haven't picked as the winner. I haven't picked as a dark horse. Do not sleep on this kid. This kid's shot can be lights out when he is on it.
Yeah, I no qualms there. Again, I back up everything you just say with Buddy, and I think kind of carrying that mantra of how surprising the Kings have been. A lot of that is attributed to him. A lot of that attributed to De'Aaron Fox. So the fact that these two guys get to showcase their skills, for a very good basketball team in Sacramento that is vying for a playoff spot, I think this is proof positive. And if he can kind of come home with a 3-point contest win, I think it can even put him more so on that stage, a la like Spencer did what he did last year with the Taco Bell Skills Challenge with his win. And it was like, all right, well, who's that guy? And then the last 25, 30 games, people were really paying attention. So I got Buddy Hield winning this thing. My dark horse, though, is again, I guess not really a dark horse. But I think Dame is probably out for blood a little bit. And then Joe Harris as well, too. I think it's going to be sneaky good, probably making it into the second round and knocking off maybe one of the big guys as he does. As he goes along the way.
So nobody, so no feelers for Kemba. Do we even think he's gonna get out of the first round?
Kemba's dope, and then again, you bring it up again, all that hometown support as well too. Like, this is what I say. This is going to be the contest of the night, and I wish the NBA in some ways would make a last minute change and be like, you know what, this is the main event. We're going to say
Right.
this, the dunk contest, even in terms of the participants, and no disrespect, but this is just the most star-studded field. And I think we're going to get the most enjoyment out of watching this. So I wouldn't mind, having this be, the last event on Saturday night.
Listen. I couldn't agree with you more, bro. I just think that with the star power that is lined up, all 10 players have an opportunity, and I think the key to Shaw is who pulls off the upset first, right? Like so. in other words, my expectations will be that, you know, I don't know how they're going to seed people in the way that they're going to set this up, but clearly they're going to try and put Steph Curry and Devin Booker on opposite ends of the bracket. That would be my expectation. So if you are playing against Steph Curry in the first round, and you're playing against Devin Booker in the first round, and one of you guys can knock off one of the big dogs, I mean, it completely blows open the field. And then now we're just completely talking about who's just going to be hottest to stay on it, who's just going to be on it, you know, from beginning to end, that can hang on to get themselves into the finals and give themselves a puncher's chance in order to win this thing. I just think it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. You're tuned to The Baseline. Cal Lee, Warren Shaw, discussing the hot button topics of the NBA are sipping to the drop as we're previewing all of the games and matchups taking place during NBA All-Star Night and the NBA All-Star Game. So now, Shaw, we get to the AT&T Slam Dunk Contest, and there's only 4. Huh? There's only 4. What? I mean, dang, man, couldn't you like give us 5, maybe make 1 get a bye or something, or give us 6? Like, there's only 4. That don't sound right.
Yeah, it's getting real skinny, you know, but I think that's a direct result of the
Yeah, the
NBA
slam dunk is on a
realizing the
keto
dunk
diet.
contest.
I know. It's on a keto diet.
It's just there's just not there's just not the interest in it like there was before. So I feel like they maybe don't want to belabor it, so to speak. What did we have last year? I think there might have been just 4 last year as well too. So this is something that I think this is the model that they want to go with for right now, as they know this contest is waning. But the one year they got rid of it, people are like, well, what the hell? So you just kind of gotta have it. We gotta struggle through it, power through, as they say. And it'll be all right. You know what I mean? So I think it gives an opportunity for guys like Dennis Smith Jr. and Miles Bridges to really showcase their talents, their skills, and see what they can do with it. And we'll sleep on Diallo, not sleep on, again, as my man John Collins. I know he can definitely bring the funk, but it's harder for some of the big guys at most times to really bring it. Dennis Smith, I think, is probably just because he's the most recognized name in this, so to speak. In some ways, you could say Collins should be right there with him. But Smith Jr., I think, is going to be the odds-on favorite. I haven't looked at the Las Vegas odds or the Westgate odds as of yet. But I'm actually going to go with Miles Bridges, who I think is not necessarily going to be a sleeper pick. I think he's going to be everyone's second pick, right behind Dennis Smith Jr.
I think Miles Bridges is going to win because Charlotte's got to get something out of this. While I think that they're gonna, I mean, this would probably have been the best opportunity for Kemba Walker to participate in an event that I think he would win. If you're gonna line him up against Dennis Smith Jr. and Diallo and Collins, he would win outright. They just give him 10s. He can miss dunks and they wind up giving him 10s. Okay. I think that this is the contest that for the hometown favorite love showing kind of thing going on, this is what's going to happen. And it's just unfortunate because I really think that when it comes to the idea of the slam dunk contest, I think Dennis Smith Jr. to me would be the more polished player. He looks like the more polished player when I see him play. And so in this kind of atmosphere, I think that he's capable of beating these guys. What I think is disappointing for me is that I just think that there are other guys that really could have been a good representation. Like I would love to have seen Kyle Kuzma participating in the slam dunk contest.
Well, and that said, you know what? We can lower our expectations, and then maybe we'll end up with an amazing dunk contest.
You know what? You could very well be right
now. Yeah, I think that's what we all need to do. And this is, again, it's not a knock on these guys who are incredible athletes. It's just that the competition itself is kind of in a space where it lacks creativity. There's just really not a whole lot you can do with it. So while it doesn't necessarily have the star power that previous dunk contests have had, we'll still sit there, we'll watch, and we'll criticize and like, oh, this was trash, whatever. But we're still going to be in front of our TVs watching it and checking it out. And, maybe we'll be surprised, what I mean? Maybe somebody will give us something we haven't seen before. So, I think cautious optimism is the way to go with this. And that's going to wait.
Do not be surprised. Do not be surprised. Not a conspiracy theory. No, I'm not trying to do that. But don't be surprised if maybe like they have like a guest dunk appearance by Dwayne Wade, by the Flash. If you're gonna throw Dirk Nowitzki in the damn 3-point contest, you might as well put Dwayne Wade out there on the basketball court. You know what I'm saying? And give us a little something.
All
I'm
right,
just
were you giving him a trampoline
no,
or
whatever, man.
what?
Like, well, you acting like he ain't got no more ups, man. Listen, if
Oh no, he would dunk all over us.
oh,
I'm
okay.
just saying, like I don't,
No, he'll
I
dunk
don't
all over
know.
you because I
Yeah,
ain't dissing him. Talk about he needs a trampoline. I never said anything like that. I'm giving him the
I mean to
floor.
give the level of excitement
I
for it. I mean, so if it's just name recognition, he comes out there, he
I am
throws it down. I mean, you could
I
do that with DC. You know what I mean? Bring Vince Carter out this thing, and it's like, all right, cool. You know what? And let's ride the motorcycle bikes or whatever it is that he does. So I mean, I'm all with the nostalgia, so to speak. But like I said, I wouldn't want to see the legends of our game, just kind of trotted out there for for shits and giggles, for lack of a better phrase. You know what I mean? For the dunk
I'm
contest.
just merely offering an extended invitation to one of the great players of the game who I still think
For
got
sure.
hops to help take the slam dunk to another level this year. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and cap this off. Lovely. NBA All-Star game itself. Team Giannis versus Team LeBron. Who do you got in this one, man? And did it surprise you that Russell Westbrook was selected 16th in this damn draft?
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. It's just there were some interesting selections and some stuff to create controversy as best we possibly could. I'm waiting to see what ends up happening kind of with Kyrie. He's battling another leg injury. I think it's a left knee this time. So whether or not he actually makes it to the All Star weekend and plays for Team LeBron, we'll see. But I think Team LeBron is the more talented roster
Listen, man,
overall.
this is I keep telling Kyrie, man, this is what happens when you keep trying to play the game, when you keep trying to play the game of basketball on a flat surface, man. You gotta learn how to protect them knees.
Stop it. Stop. Not touching it. So you know, Hans roster is stacked, and I feel like Giannis kind of allowed things to go a certain way with that.
Because
And
Giannis
then
wants to take
especially
over this damn
going.
thing. He's like he wants to be the one that passes the ball, dunks the ball, shoots the
You know
ball.
what? You may have a
I
point
may
there.
have a point.
You know
Yes, I
what?
do. Yes, I
You
do.
may have a point there. So he's just like, you know what? I'll pick, all stars, but I'm going to pick the guys who I can pretty much definitely make sure I outshine on a regular basis and try to, scurry his way to an MVP bid, so to speak. But player for player, top to bottom, Team LeBron is ridiculously good and ridiculously stacked. So no matter what amount of minutes he plays or doesn't play, I think that team has the advantage, despite whatever Giannis may want to try to do and throw out there and put up some crazy numbers. And no disrespect, I think he's got a lot of the European guys as well too in his roster, and that was definitely by design. Obviously, he picked his teammate in Chris Middleton too. But again, player for player, you're not touching what Team LeBron got over there, man.
I'm thinking of the bigger picture. Of course, this is overload. It's overkill with Team LeBron. But in the end, I like this from Team Giannis. He's basically taking a bunch of underlings and he's saying, "We're gonna take down Goliath." So I love it. I like it.
Yeah, well, I think the one thing, kind of newsy, if you will, is we do have to watch what happens with Team LeBron. It's by design. He picked the team the way he did. Pretty much every upcoming free agent that is an all-star, with the exception of Kemba Walker, is on his team. So all those kind of rumblings, those wink, wink under the tables, all right, I'll talk to you in the summer type of situations, I think is definitely going to be permeating throughout All Star Weekend in Charlotte, and especially in the locker room with Team LeBron. He's going to make some tongue in cheek comments, I'm sure as well too. Alluding to things with Anthony Davis and Kawhi Leonard, and maybe even Kyrie as well. So that I think is a storyline to watch and pay attention to, because it's going to be fun. And again, LeBron did this by design. Always a master puppeteer, bro.
All right, real quick, MVP. Who do you think takes it?
Wow. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say Paul George.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Team Giannis. I think Team Giannis. I think they win it. Team Giannis takes it. How about that?
All right. Well, that makes some
Nice,
sense.
neat,
So Team Giannis,
right? Nice,
easy.
nice and neat. Easy peasy. This has been an awesome show, Shaw. I cannot tell you how great it is to be able to get together with you come All-Star Weekend.
Again, hope you fans and listeners enjoy what we did here with our All-Star preview. Make sure you're rocking with us throughout the entire weekend, following our social media. Shout out to our new social media intern, Andrew Frost, who's going to be definitely keeping you lovely with some of our content and things that we'll be putting out there. We're excited, man. I think it's going to be a great time in Charlotte. So shout out to all the brands as we alluded to as well too. So stay tuned with us at NBA Baseline on Twitter, at NBA_Baseline on Instagram, and at Shaw Sports NBA, and at Game Face League.
Most definitely. For the Baseline, Cali, Warren Shaw, we appreciate you guys. You know we do. We'll catch up with you next time.